Of course, it's tough. I had a big part in that whole mess and letting that come to be. And as much as I wanted to get in there and try to fix it, I could only do so much. I tried to get fights. They wouldn't give me the fights I wanted early on, and no one wouldn't sign up. I tried to get that. They wanted me to fight Anderson. They wanted me to fight Gegard. They tried to push fight after fight, and couldn't get anything going. And finally got a top 10 guy in David Branch, put him away, and things settled themselves out. So it's just I'm just nice it's over.
Was the plan to come back and eventually fight Bisping for the title, or were you just aiming just for whoever's got the title at that time?
I mean, originally, yeah, of course, Bisping was running around, dancing and hiding from everybody he possibly could. I think he knows he got lucky, and he avoided everybody and obviously fought nobody. Not one contender in this whole stint. Whittaker's been the champ for a long time, so it's he's the goal, of course. The best is always the goal. Being on top is the goal, and Whittaker's proved himself for a long time now. He's been on top. He's beaten all the top guys, and he's the man.
Does it bother you at all that GSP vacated the belt and we never got to see him defend that middleweight belt at all?
I knew it was going to happen. I think I was outspoken about it, and I thought he would lose to Bisping. I thought there was a chance, of course. I said that, and if he did win, he wouldn't fight any of us, and that was the circumstances. Exactly played out the way I thought, and I'm not bummed on that. I'm bummed on the UFC for putting that together and thinking that he actually would defend the title, and putting that into his contract. Come on, man, you can't force anybody to do anything. When you give a guy a paycheck like that, he ain't dictating what he does.
And would you have preferred to fight? You're obviously fighting Robert Whittaker. Would you have preferred to fight like a winner of Bisping GSP?
No, I want to fight Whittaker. I want to fight the best. I mean, it would have been. I'm a realist, and I know that neither one of those guys, win or lose, would fight any of us. They're both going to try to run off, right off into the sunset, and not fight the fights. Whittaker's respect to Whittaker for stepping up and fighting me. He had options to take a lesser opponent, and the fans wanted this, and this is what it is. He's a true champion. He's going to fight the number one contender. So.
You've said for a few months now that you always thought Whittaker was the champion despite not having the undisputed title. Is it kind of good to have that clarity and know for sure now that he is the champion?
I mean, I knew it. Anybody who's has any real understanding of the sport knew it. The general fan base might play to the bullshit, but it is nice. It's nice to have that completely clarified and to fight him for the real thing. So.
Whittaker was on the undercard when you were last here and fought Bisping. At what point did you see Whittaker as a guy that you might have to match up with in the future?
I mean, that fight, he showed a lot of promise. He came up, he carried the weight well, and I was impressed that first night, here in Sydney. So I followed him along the way, and I knew he could be, real competition. There wasn't a lot going on besides Whittaker. He rose quickly and handled everything, in good fashion. So he's a tough dude. He's got well-rounded.
So how does your fight prep change when you obviously go from fighting in America to fighting on the other side of the world? Does that affect your camp preparations and where you're going to be based or anything like that?
That doesn't affect anything on that matter. It just affects how I come out here, when I come out here.
Yeah, and obviously the time difference as well. It's going to be starting. The fight card's going to be starting at 7 in the morning. Does that play a role in how you'll prepare for the fight?
It's early, but it's just a couple hours earlier than when we started here in Sydney.
Yeah,
so
true.
It really, once you get over that, because everything, is initially you always fight at night and prepare for the day. It makes life actually a lot easier. You don't have to sit and stress on it. You go to sleep, you have breakfast, you have a snack, you go to the arena, you go kick some ass. So
we're expecting a sold-out crowd in Perth, and you would assume that it's going to be largely cheering for your opponent. How does that weigh on your mind? How does that affect everything?
I've been in this game for a long time, man. I've been against a lot of hostile crowds. I've been in favor. Last time I was out here, I think they somehow went for Bisping. So people maybe see through it a little more better now, but I handled it fine last time. I'll handle it fine this time. Like I said before, it's not about the reception when you get in, when you come into the arena. It's the reception when you leave the arena. And I think our fight will do that. People have to respect what we both bring, and how I walk out. And I plan on walking out with my belt 2-time.
You've been outspoken a bit in the past how UFC have been running things. Does it feel, I guess this is back to the norm, back to how things should be, with the best competing for that belt, no interim belts, top contenders competing? How are your thoughts on?
This is one step in the right direction. We'll see if they can keep the routine, keep the recipe. We'll see.
And does this fight remind you at all of, I guess, the Chris Weidman fight? You had a guy who was a middleweight champion, undefeated, the guy who no one could beat, now fighting Rob. Do you have any similarities with that fight, with this fight coming up at all? Or?
Different fight. Completely different fight. Whittaker's, he's tough. He's been beaten. He has different strengths. It's a completely different stylistic matchup. So, I think I have a lot of advantages in similar ways, but he's explosive on the feet. He covers the gap, and on the ground, I'm going to have an advantage with anybody.
And you guys have been very respectful towards one another. Have you had an opponent like this before, where you've sort of had that respect and even jokingly around together at all in the past?
I have. I definitely have. Whittaker's even more so. He's so non-confrontational. I'm not going to try to be disingenuous and go at him. Some people, it just naturally you feel that fire and that fuel builds the tension. But with him, he's very cool, calm, and collected. Respect that about him. But I think as we get closer, we're both going to be putting it on the line and battling and breaking our bodies and beating ourselves up to get there. And it might see it get a little more tense, but I don't expect anything crazy.
Does it mentally make any difference when you go from fighting like one of the game's best ever trash talkers like Michael Bisping to fighting a guy like Whittaker who just doesn't trash talk at all?
Nah, it's I have a genuine dislike for Bisping, and it'll come out as though people might want to call me cocky or whatever, but it was as real as it gets. I just don't like the guy, and I don't know anybody. I don't understand people who do. So I'm real, and it is what it is. A fight is a fight. When it comes down to it, I'm fighting the next best guy in the world. So I'm not fucking around.
Is a third fight with Bisping something you'd be after?
I hate even mentioning him his name now. He's not even on my radar. He doesn't even make sense for anybody in the division. I think he's ran and he's going to keep running. Who's he going to fight now? And even in the top 10, there's just no one for him. No one I think he'll even fight.
Where are you training for this camp? You go back to AKA or with him?
No, I haven't been. I did my last camp in Florida with Henry and the whole team out there, and I got a great thing going. It's got complacent back home and did some things. It's nice to just get away and get a clear head and have nothing to hold me back, get a new environment. I'm inspired. I got a lot of good people around me, and AK is not what it used to be. It's you get guys filtering in and out, but Kane's been injured. Khabib's always in Russia. DC's doing TV. I gotta look out for myself. I love my brothers and my team out there, and you'll see a lot of them in my corner, I'm sure. But this is time to be the best I can be and think about myself right now.
So, training alongside Volkan, you funneling any secrets back to DC ahead of his fight?
I really, there's nothing to. I train on the opposite side of the gym as Volkan.
Is that by design?
There's nothing to tell. Everyone knows exactly what's going to go on. We've been outspoken on both sides of it. Volkan knows DC's coming to wrestle. DC knows Volkan's coming to swing and try to, land a shot. So
how early will you get to Perth before the fight? How long will you be based in Perth?
Last time I came out to Sydney about 8 days, and I left 8 days in advance, and I feel like it was just not enough. So obviously I did well, but you got to decompress a little bit and just kind of let the body adjust. And so I imagine in that 10-day range, something like that.
Yep.
Kelvin Gastelum was campaigning hard for this fight, and was there a time you were worried that possibly he might leapfrog you? And what are your thoughts on him saying that Rob chose the easy fight?
Given how ridiculous things are, of course, are they really going to take that step? Are they really going to keep, falling further within that realm? But everybody everybody, obviously, I've seen, people came to me and made polls or whatever, and I know I was at the top of every list. I know I've proven myself. I've accomplished things in the sport, whereas little midgets like Kelvin Gastelum haven't. I've destroyed Chris Weidman, which he got, he got destroyed by Weidman. So it's like, this kid hasn't beaten really anybody and done anything in this sport, and for him to run his mouth, it's pretty funny. It's laughable. He'll find out real soon if he continues his efforts at 85. I'd slap that kid down real quick, real quick.